Hi, it's Ileana at Awakening Cosmic Reality Show, and today I have Chloe with me, and we're going to be discussing soul mission, soul purpose, and life purpose. Welcome back, Chloe.
Thank you so much, Ileana. Great to chat with you again. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Chloe. I'm from Airlea Healing. I am a psychic, a healer, and a visual artist. And Ileana and I love to chat about all of these metaphysical topics. And right now we are doing a continued series about the soul. So watch our other videos first if you haven't yet watched them. And today, I believe we are talking about soul purpose, soul mission, and life purpose.
Yes, indeed.
Awesome. So in your opinion, Ileana, what is the difference between soul mission, soul purpose, and life purpose? Because this is something I've pondered a lot.
Yeah, me too. And this is what people ask in sessions quite a bit. It's the first thing that comes up. Well, soul mission is what you, I think, pre-plan before you come in to have a lifetime on Earth or anywhere else. Your soul overall meets up with you and has a bit of a chat. So, what do we want to do in our next upcoming lifetime? What do we want to look like? What kind of being do we want to be? That's part of the soul mission. Do you want to be in a light body? Do you want to be in a physical corporeal body? Or do you want to be a bit of both? So you start pre-planning how you want to be like pure energy, physical, or a bit of both, because a lot of different existences. Then we look at, okay, what dimension do we want to go into? Because there's 3D and up where you can incarnate into. So the soul mission plan is, what do you want to be? What dimension do you want to go to? 3D, 4D, 5D up, what planet? And then male or female. What gender do you want to be? Or do you want to be androgynous? Neither, not male or female, just androgynous. So you sort of start to pre-plan the soul mission of the basics, and then you start putting in the soul purpose of, what am I exactly doing on Earth? What's the purpose there? Who am I going to meet? Why am I going there? What's my life going to be like on Earth or any other planet, dimension, existence? Sometimes people choose to incarnate into a dimension or a realm that doesn't even have a planet. So it's part of the soul purpose to figure that out, the energetics. How is all that going to look like and feel like? And what are you going to be doing on the planet, the realm, the dimension? What's the state of your existence? That's the soul purpose.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like the soul mission is kind of the bigger picture. Like, what sort of being will I incarnate as? Who will be my parents? Who will be my soul family? Will I, reincarnate with the same soul family that I have been in previous lifetimes? So it's sort of the overall picture. The mission is kind of like the whole bigger picture package of what that lifetime is going to look like. And then the soul purpose is specifically, what are the goals that we have set for ourselves before we incarnate into this lifetime. Is that correct?
Yeah. And it also differs from life purpose. Life, I find you can refine life purpose once you get to the place that you're incarnating into, and you sort of create new goals and achievements for yourself as you go along in the lifetime. Because soul mission and soul purpose and life purpose can also change when you're born. And it also depends on where you are physically in the environment that you are born into. It does affect those things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So here's what really confused me, because it's a question I've asked myself many times, and partly because I realized that I'm a starseed, which we'll talk about later. I don't want to get into that just yet because that's a big topic, but partly I've always had this feeling, and I think many people have this experience where it's like a soul tug, where you feel like there's an important purpose that you have here, but you're not really sure what it is. But perhaps even since you were young, you had this feeling that maybe either there were some important gifts and talents that you needed to share with the world, and or there was something important you needed to do, you know, career-wise, that aligned with those gifts and talents. Or is there something less quantifiable that you're here for? And for me, I always thought that my soul purpose was around my talents and my career. So I focused very heavily on that throughout my life. That, and I focused on relationships because that is my interest in this lifetime, in exploring relationships and communication and things of that nature. But I always really struggled with life purpose, because in a way it was clear, you know, for me, I was always artistic. So I was directed to use my talents artistically in my painting, my singing, my music, but especially with visual art. So I went in that direction. I did my degree in art, and then I got my bachelor's of education so that I could teach art. And so that seemed clear. But then as I became a healer in 2012, I started to wonder if, you know, visual art and that direction was enough of a divine purpose for me. I felt like there was something even deeper for me in terms of my soul purpose. So then I started to explore healing work, and I realized for me, and fortunately I had a very good coach in my mid-20s when I first started my businesses for my art training and my healing work. And she said to me, identify what your core values are. And my main core value has always been to help people. I always want to help people. So as long as I'm doing something in my career, in my soul purpose that's around helping people, then I feel a great deal of satisfaction, and I feel rewarded, and I feel that I'm on the right path with my soul purpose. But then as time went on, and particularly over the last couple years, I've done even more soul searching and tried to figure out if the soul purpose is even deeper than that. Because sometimes we can have these certain idealistic goals, you know, these lofty goals, like my soul purpose is to, you know, for example, right, be a successful artist and have shows and sell my art and share my art with the world. That could be one direction someone could go with it. And then, you know, someone might say, well, my soul purpose is to be a healer, and I'm going to help people with ascension, and I'm going to help to elevate the world. And, you know, one of my soul purposes along the way that I learned about as a healer is that I want to help empaths, particularly, and highly sensitive people, because you and I, Ileana, we're both HSPs, highly sensitive people. And that is a specific psychological term for people who have nervous systems that are more easily activated by stimulants. And anyone can look up the book by Ileana Airlea on HSPs to understand more about that. But HSPs are also empaths. And given that empaths and HSPs are only about 15% of the population, I realized that I have a mission around helping sensitives and empaths and psychics to develop their intuitive gifts and to learn how to be in the world without suffering so much. Because when you're absorbing other people's emotions and when you're being triggered by stimulants, a lot of the time it can be like life can be like a living hell, but you can also really help people because you can understand people. So that was another purpose that came up. But then even deeper than that, I realized that perhaps my purpose is just to help people in their relationships and to learn about relationships and to learn about all of the intricacies of how to communicate with others. So I'm curious about that. So in your view, what's the difference between my purpose around helping people to grow and to learn and to evolve in their relationships, and then my purpose around, my gifts, like my art and my healing work and things like that? How would you label those in terms of soul mission, soul purpose, life purpose?
Well, I would label them into categories because you can have more than one purpose in the soul purposes, as we've discovered, because we started with one idea, but then we branched off with many soul purpose ideas, and they each fit into their own unique specific categories in order for us to be happy. Because we as creatives, because we're very artistic, we're both artists, we're both teachers, we're both healers. So we need to express our soul purposes to their highest capabilities and abilities. We're also perfectionists. So we like beautiful things. We like art. We like to create beautifully. We like to paint the world, so to speak. And for that to be expressed, we need to fully engage in our purposes. We need to fully be active. We don't do things half measure. We actively participate in our life purposes. And that's uniquely to us. Some people may do their life purposes slower. Some people may do it faster. You and I, we keep evolving. Every week there's something going on with these purposes. We're actively engaged in them. So I think for us, it's important to be able to pace ourselves and to give time to participate in each of these purposes for us to be happy with them in accomplishing them. Take your time. Don't hurry through it. Actually slow it down. We both have been slowing down some things and just participating in the moment of what we're doing. Working with our clients on the healing mission, the empathic missions, teaching people. You and I teach actively as we do our sessions because we want the person to have the best session they can for their highest good. And that includes taking a deep dive into the soul and what the soul needs, what the soul wants, what the soul desires, what the soul purpose is, and the soul mission and the life purpose. You and I, we cover that in our sessions with clients. We do it with each other. Communication is so important. And to be honest with your soul purpose, be honest with yourself. What I originally planned, is it serving me well now? Can I modify it? Can I change it? Can I improve it? Because it could always be changed. It doesn't have to be set in stone. It could be flexible. You could play with it. It's like molding clay and creating something new. Soul purpose doesn't have to be old, what you created, what you pre-planned. Because once you come in with it, you can change it and you can adapt it. If you look at it from 360 degree, like imagine if you're looking at a holographic projection of a sphere. That's your whole soul purpose, one category. Look at it from 360 degrees and say, oh, I'll change this, I'll change this, and it aligns better with the mission and your happiness.
Right. And you brought up some really good points that made me think about things from a few different perspectives. So one of the things that I think people struggle with a lot is that they look at the life purpose more from the material, tangible perspective. So for example, we're all very influenced by our parents and our teachers and our peers growing up in terms of what we will choose in terms of our life purpose. And a lot of it has to do with making money, career, doing things that we think we're good at, and so on. But what I've learned is that it's not always about what you're good at, because we can be good at many different things. What's more important is choosing something that is your strength. And a strength is not even necessarily something you're good at yet. It's something that you're passionate about. And I think what has really helped me on my journey is to understand, like you were saying, that life purpose, soul purpose can be multifaceted. So when we're brought up, we have peer pressure around, well, you must choose a path that makes money, and that creates blockages for people sometimes because it's not necessarily in alignment with their purpose. And they may have wrong thinking about it too. They might be able to actually be very successful and make money around something that's their true calling, but somebody told them, like a parent or somebody else, that you can't make money in that direction. I definitely had that, you know, around my path with following my dream to be an artist. I was told over and over again, you can't make money as an artist, by family members, by general people in society that are brainwashed with this idea about starving artists and so on. But, you know, I think it's really important that we follow what we are passionate about, what our soul is really, what our heart and soul is really drawn to, as they say, follow your heart. But also, it doesn't have to be one thing, right? And that's another thing I think we're very conditioned and brainwashed to think from a young age, that you need to choose one career path, you need to choose one purpose. And that's not enough for many people. For some people, it's fine, and that works. But for many people, it's not addressing their creativity, it's not addressing their entrepreneurial abilities, it's not allowing them to really push themselves outside of the box that was created for them, and to help them to follow the truth of what they would really like to pursue. So understanding that, yes, if we do a million different things, it can spread out our energy too thin. But if we can narrow it down to maybe 2 or 3 different like career paths, or 2 or 3 different not missions, because that's the overall, but purposes, then as long as we have a core belief, a core value that those purposes are serving, then it will all make sense. So for example, my core value is that I want to help people. And as a star seed, that is one of my missions here. I came here to help people evolve, to help people to learn to communicate in more peaceful, loving ways, and to help people to connect to unconditional love, to become more intuitive, to let go of feelings of worthlessness and shame, and embrace self-love, and all of these kinds of things, which are very common purposes among healers, which is why many healers and psychics view themselves as star seeds. So if it's okay with you, can we talk a little bit about the star seed purpose? Because I think, you know, it's important for people to understand the connection between the life purpose and the star seed purpose.
Sure. I'll just mention a few things about soul mission and soul purpose. Like for me, for example, my soul mission was to just come here on Earth to rescue somebody and get off planet. It wasn't to stay here for the long haul and to do this work. It was come in, be born, live until 30 something, rescue somebody, and then be gone. Once that purpose, that mission and purpose was fulfilled, I was a bit lost. So I created a new soul mission and new soul purposes for myself and life purposes. I reprogrammed everything.
Right.
Because what I was originally planning, that was done, and I felt empty. You can reprogram and recreate. You don't have to be feeling stuck in what you pre-planned and came in with. You can chart a new course, chart a new path. So I just wanted to mention that, because you feel lost, just you as creator beings, that's part of being a starseed, we can recreate and remanifest something new and better if we want, for soul mission, soul purposes, or soul purpose. If something no longer serves you, you can let go of it and change paths. Chart a new path, chart a new course, because as creator beings, you have the ability to manifest that, to create a new manifesto into reality, literally.
Right. So things can change, things can change and evolve over time. So that's very important, that not only can the soul purpose be multifaceted, there could be 2 or 3 branches to it, but it can evolve over time, because as we change, as we grow, as we evolve, our mission becomes more clear, our purpose becomes deeper, and we can get more specific as to the direction that feels best for us intuitively. But before going any further, could you please define for our viewers what being a star seed is for those people who don't understand what that term means?
So it's coming in with an awareness. Being a star seed comes with an awareness of space, of your previous lifetimes, having a deeper connection with your galactic, extraterrestrial past lives. You come already with a pre-knowing. You might not know what exactly it is, but you have urges and desires. You feel very connected to space. You feel very connected to nature, to the earth, to the planet where you're being born, to animals, and you feel things differently. You're telepathic. You're born with innate telepathic abilities that are already open to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
They're not latent. They're not being suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
Star seeds are more, their senses are more aware and hyper aware. We go beyond the five senses. This is how we're born. And we want to play. When we come in, we want to play and explore things to their 10th degree, if you will. Not just halfway doing things, but doing it 100% to the best of our ability. We learn quickly, we pick up information, we process information, we even speed up time, so we do things more quicker than others. I don't know what a slow pace is in our life purposes and soul missions and soul purposes. Everything feels so dynamically charged and attuned. We feel like we're playing music, we're painting, we're playing with life, and we're exploring our experiences. It's like doing the passionate tango, you know? It's like feeling it. You really feel it. You really sense it. You really engage with everything that you do. That is what I know as starseed to be.
Thank you. That's a helpful perception and explanation. I agree. And also, I think, and correct me if you feel differently, but I also think for those of you who are wondering, am I a starseed? Is that me? Maybe ask yourself, when you were born, did you look at human beings and wonder what they were all about? Were you really curious about how human beings tick? Because that's how I was. I was very analytical, even from a very young age, even from practically a baby. I was observing human beings and I was fascinated by them as if I wasn't one, kind of. And I believe it's because I have had souls as human, but I've also had at least one soul where I came from another planet. And so when I was looking at humans, sometimes I was fascinated and delighted, and sometimes I was horrified by the cruelty. And I just could not relate to things like bullying and the way human beings always need to have these rules, very strict, very narrow perceptions on things. I never related to it. I never understood it. And it really did make me feel like an alien. I felt like, what the heck is going on here? Like, what's going on with these human beings? They just keep warring and they keep fighting and they keep, obviously not all humans are bad. There's mostly wonderful human beings here, but I just couldn't understand it. And then as time went on, I realized that I'm here to help human beings. I am a human. I'm not saying I'm not, but there is a part of my soul that is connected to another time, to another dimension, to other sources of knowledge. And I do feel from talking to other healers and psychics that this is quite a common phenomenon, that we are connected to other interdimensional beings somehow. We don't know quite how. We're connected to, some of us are connected to the angelic realm. Like, for example, I work with angels with my healing work, or extraterrestrials. Ileana, you and I have both worked with extraterrestrials for healing others. And, we can speak to beings from the other side who've passed on. So it just seems that there's some kind of soul connection with that other realm. And many, many soul seeds, star seeds, I should say, feel deep within their soul that they were assigned a mission to come and help humanity with their ascension. But I will warn those of you who've already identified yourself as a starseed and you're on this path of being a healer and an intuitive, to not get too far in that direction, because some of us have major savior issues, right? Like even since I was a young child, I had dreams of pulling people out of water that were drowning and flying around and putting out fires on the earth, and all of these things where I was sort of like this superhuman being that was trying to help everybody and save everybody and rescue everybody from misery. And it's good to be helpful, but it's not healthy to try to fix people, to try to, don't put too much pressure on yourself is what I'm saying. If you are a starseed and a healer and a sensitive, empathic person, and you have those caretaker type personality traits, just be careful you don't go too far with it. Because if you start to put so much pressure on yourself, like, oh my gosh, this world is messed up, I need to fix everybody, and I gotta, fix my partner because he's got addiction, or I've got to, fix my friend because they've got this, and I've got to heal everybody completely who comes into me to see me for a session. No, just let it go. You're already helping just by your frequency. And I think that's something that you've told me, Ileana, and I've heard from other healers as well, that all we can do is do our best. We're still human beings, right? Even though we might be connected to, our souls might be connected to these other dimensions, we're still human beings, and we have our limitations to a certain degree, right? And if we put so much pressure on ourselves, it's going to also cause suffering. So I think in terms of soul purpose, and especially with those of us who feel that we have this grandiose, lofty purpose, we need to really tone it down and just, focus on helping ourselves, number one, keeping ourselves healthy mentally, emotionally, physically. And then number two, take care of those that are in front of us that we can. And number three, and a very important key, is don't try to fix or save people who do not want to be fixed or saved at this stage, because people that want help will come to you and they'll be ready for it. And those of you who don't want it, do not do anything, because everybody has their own journey and they have their own timeline. Their soul has a specific mission timeline and purpose timeline around when they need to heal and who they need to go to for that healing. And it may or may not be you or me. It could be someone else. It could be years from now. It could be that they're not ready for healing until the next lifetime. So just try to let go and take it a little more easy on yourself and others with that whole healing mission and everything like that.
Yeah, and this is what I'm experiencing, that everything happens, it happens in its own divine timing and its own divine purpose, because I'm writing a book. It's 1,030 pages. And I've been connecting with the angels. I've been connecting with off-world contacts, different contacts, going to 40, just being in the fourth dimension, just being and seeing what is my purpose right now for this book? What is the experiences that I need to explore? And taking a deeper look, seriously facing my truths. What is going to be in this book that is profoundly important for people to know about? Not for me to know about because I've experienced these things already, but what am I writing about? What's the purpose of this book? What's its mission? How is this book going to serve in the world? What is it going to do? Is it going to change anybody's life or lives for the better? How is it going to impact people's lives? What is it doing to me? And when I had a deeper look at this, I started writing from the heart, more from the heart space than just writing something. Mm-hmm. It got more creative. That's why it's so big. But that's okay. It can be big. There's no right and wrong. There's no big or small when you come to a physical world to experience something. There's just happiness, there's exploration and satisfaction with what you create, what you manifest, what you explore. That's part of being a star seed as well. Happiness is important. First of all, star seeds connect deeply to their hearts and to the solar frequencies. We connect from the stars are our playground. The universe is our playground. Reality is our playground. We bend space and time. We can speed up time or slow it down. We really connect to heart space, and we connect deeply to emotion.
Mm-hmm.
We're very sensitive emotionally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And also, I agree with that. And, it sounds cliche to follow your heart, but it really is important, because the heart has much greater wisdom than the mind. The mind, it's important for data processing and for analytics and for logic and reason. But when it comes to things that we're passionate about, like our life purpose, the heart is extremely important, and also the gut. So one of the things I'm writing about in my book is about making decisions from different parts of the body. And it's really interesting, but the heart is really key, because the heart has great wisdom, and it's very close to the soul center, which is kind of more the thymus diaphragm area. And so this inner part of ourselves truly has the wisdom to know what is best for us in terms of what we need to do for this life purpose. So that's what I always encourage my clients to do, and what I encourage our viewers to do is to go within your heart. So imagine taking the elevator down to your heart, and then asking your heart to give a physiological response. So start with a yes or no question. And for those of you that use muscle testing or pendulums, try the heart as your muscle testing, because it has great wisdom. So what you want to do is visualize going down into the heart space from the head to the heart, because again, in society, we're taught to only think from the frontal part of the brain, but there's many, many aspects to the body that have wisdom, and the heart has great wisdom. So we bring the elevator down to the heart space, and then ask your heart space, if you have a question about, should I choose this career or that career, for example, and ask the heart space. And you can do this with the relationships too. Is it for my highest good to go in this direction, career-wise? Is it for my highest good to continue this relationship with this person? But always preface it with, is it for my highest good? Never use the word should, because the word should has to do with the ego. And I do believe we talked about that before in regards to identifying the difference between the ego self, the lower self, and the higher self. That the should is around everything that we were conditioned and programmed to think about things. So that's where we want to get away from that. And even though there are certain practicalities, like we do have to make money and pay bills, so there are some shoulds for survival, for keeping in a human body. That's not what we want to focus on in terms of choosing a soul purpose. So all you want to do is just go into your heart space and ask your heart, is it for my highest good to do this, fill the blanks, as my soul purpose? Take a deep breath. If the heart contracts, that's a no. Okay, so you'll usually feel a constricting feeling in your throat and your heart, and an uncomfortability in this area, like in your heart, belly, throat area. And if it's a yes, you'll feel a more expansive, warm, fuzzy feeling. If it's a maybe, you might get a mixed response. But what you want to do is continue to ask your heart that question when you're relaxed, when no one else is around. Close your eyes, connect with the sensations within the body, do the deep breathing. And that has really helped me on my journey, because I've had some moments where, I've had karmic relationships, or I've had really tough decisions about two different, paths that I really enjoy. And I needed to choose at least which way to go in the moment, or choose which path was most beneficial. And the wonderful thing is the heart knows. The mind thinks, but the heart knows. So that really helps, because it's much better when we can make a decision from a place of knowing than a decision from a place of analytics. because the mind can do pros and cons, and we can write down pros and cons lists, and that can be very helpful in terms of analysis, in terms of understanding the consequences of a decision about a life purpose. But at the end of the day, once you've done pros and cons and you've looked at that, that is not going to give you your ultimate answer, but your heart and your gut will. Your gut will tell you if there's any major problems in terms of survival, right? So sometimes people want to be with someone because they have a karmic relationship with them, but their gut is saying no, it's all clenched up. And that could be a time where they can finally heal and let go of that relationship. Similarly, with career, people can sometimes go on a path that was more of a should, because their parents said to them, you know, you need to make money, so you need to become a lawyer, you need to become a doctor, you need to become XYZ, a typical employee type of situation. And I'm not knocking that. But it's always ideal if you can choose a path that is, you know, something that you actually want to do within your heart, because otherwise you'll just have to come back in another lifetime and try again, which is fine because life goes by very fast, but still.
Or you don't always just, if the soul crosses over and it's like, I made so many mistakes, oh my gosh, I need to go back. No, you don't. You can just learn from it, examine what you did in that past life, really look at it. Do I need to go back and redo that? Or is that good? Can I leave it alone? And can I move on to something new, something next, something fresh, something that I don't want to dwell on anymore in returning to past life patterns and rebirths? Because you don't have to return to something, even though you didn't completely finish it. You can just examine it and be at peace with it. I'm very obsessive about could have, should have, done it, would have, whatever. Very obsessive. You know me. We have deep conversations and it's like, it's time for you to let go of that. It's not serving your highest good. Move on. And you help to focus and center me. And you and I deal with a lot of heartbreak and heartache quite a bit. We experience that quite a bit because it goes in our heart. We feel it deeply. And
well, not so much anymore, but
yeah, not so much.
Helped each other in the past with those things. Yeah,
but we've struggled with that, and I've learned to don't take it within the heart. Let it pass by. Don't take that as layers of energy within the heart. Those feelings, those emotions, because starseeds feel deeply. Again, going back to that, don't take it in within as layers, because that's what you and I heal actually. When we find these things in people's hearts and souls, we heal that. We help to release that, but don't take it within. Let it walk around you.
Well, I mean, I think it is good to process emotions, to feel them deeply within, but then we want to release them eventually, because otherwise what happens, and those of you listening who are energy healers know this, negative emotions, if they're held onto for too long and there's too high of a charge with them, they get stuck inside the body, and they can create what's called a heart wall, where there's a big armor around the heart and the body, and that stops people from achieving their life purpose, and it stops people from actually inviting in a soulmate and things of that nature, because when we get hurt, we naturally erect a heart wall here, because we go into self-protective mode. And if we're really traumatized, parts of our soul can even become fragmented, right? We'll talk about that when we get into more like talking about past life reading and soul retrieval. But what we want to do is express all those emotions in a way that's very cathartic. And the EFT is really good, where we do tapping and we express the emotions. That's one thing I do with my clients. And it releases all the emotion with the intent not to dwell into the emotion, like you were saying, but to get it out of the body, to release it out permanently, to clear it out. Now, when I say that, you know, negative emotions, all emotions are completely natural, and they're human, and it's okay, and it's appropriate to feel emotions, but we don't want to be experiencing things like fear, anger, despair at a 10 out of 10, because then we can not only are we feeling tremendous suffering, but we can also, with our energy, we can attract disasters, injuries, disease, things like that. So we want to clear that out. And then once we're in a neutral space, because we can't go from misery to happiness in one step, we need to clear that out, go neutral, and then we can start working towards our goals, like our creative projects, our life purpose, our career goals, all of these kinds of things. But if we have massive emotional blockages, we are going to procrastinate. We're going to make excuses for not doing it. And sometimes, honestly, it's just because we're in a phase of healing, and that's okay too. It's important to understand with life purpose as well, and soul purpose, that there are ebbs and flows, there are ups and downs. Just like in the season of winter, the plants are resting and dying down, and then in spring they emerge again. We have our own biorhythms, we have our own natural rhythms, and we also have times where we're very productive, where we work very hard on our soul purpose. And then we have times where, you know, we're grieving, somebody passed away, or there was a breakup, or something else happened, and we're healing. And then we need to let go of the heart wall because it served its purpose. We need to dissolve that away, open back up our heart, and then go back gradually, slowly towards achieving our life purpose again. That's kind of how I see it. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, and if you are deeply experiencing something that's, you know, emotionally upsetting to you, or you're even feeling heartbreak, don't take it personally so much, because there could be extenuating circumstances. Remember what I was telling you about something started malfunctioning and the beautiful things that I had created. I'm not going to talk specifics, but that was malfunctioning. And I felt like those things that I had created, there were my canvases of paintings and artwork, because I'm very creative digitally. And it wasn't working. It wasn't looking right. And I thought it was something that I did, that I programmed something wrong. But no, it was just something on technology that wasn't functioning correctly. And my higher self came in and said, just wait, it'll be fixed. It'll look fine. You don't need to go and redo everything that you did. Stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Your soul purpose and your soul mission is to create beauty and explore beauty and play in beauty. And Janaea said, that beauty is still there. It just doesn't quite look quite right on certain things right now. That will be fixed. That's not you. You didn't do that. You did nothing wrong in how you created what you did. It's the way it's being presented by technology right now, that it's not quite right, because there's a lot of energy. We had solar events in the last 2 weeks where energies were just so amplified and things weren't looking right on technology. And she said, don't worry, you're still meeting and doing your soul purpose and soul mission. You're creating beauty. Your beauty has not been ruined. Everything will go back to normal. You don't need to change anything. She's like, stop.
Exactly. And a lot of times we can think that there's a disaster in terms of our progress with our life purpose. Like, we don't get into a university that was in alignment with where we wanted to go, or, you know, we start a job in a direction where we thought we were supposed to go and it doesn't work out. Always bear in mind that just because something doesn't look like it's working in the physical realm, in the human earthly realm, does not mean that it's not working on a soul level. Many, many times we are tested by our higher selves, by the universe, by our souls, to find out if that truly is our soul purpose. So sometimes if we're tested many times and things are simply not flowing, it could be a sign that that's not really our soul purpose. And sometimes we're tested just to spark that fire even more. So we know, oh, I'm going to do this no matter what, and we stick to it, right? So sometimes it's good to quit on a direction that is not flowing. But sometimes it's just a test to see if we have the perseverance to continue in that direction. And again, your heart will always tell you. But you may need a break from doing your soul purpose at times, because for me personally, one of the toughest things that I experienced is disillusionment because of working on, you know, for example, working on my artwork and spending many, many hours, and then, you know, finding the whole marketing selling part really demoralizing, or getting into an art gallery, you know. So lots of different things can happen that can cause you to feel disillusioned, but don't give up. Take a break if you need to, but don't necessarily give up because it's not flowing. Or change your perspective. How can you do something in a slightly different way? How could you maybe take some of the core values that you have, whether it's helping others, whether it's helping a specific group of people, whether it's serving a community in a certain way, whatever it is, how can you use that core purpose to slightly tweak that direction that you were going to make it work for you better? It's important to be adaptable in these situations as well. And it's natural to feel disillusioned at times, but don't see it as a failure, because there's no such thing as failure. If you keep trying, if you're doing your best, that's literally all you can do. And then you need to let go. So like you were saying, sometimes we can get obsessive. Oh, I've got to get this done. This is my purpose. Then we go on and on and on, focusing and obsessing. But the thing is, sometimes you can use manifestation techniques too. You can just write down, I'm going to manifest this. This is my goal. And then you just leave it alone sometimes. Sometimes all you have to do is write something down, maybe ask for some spiritual assistance from your higher self, the angels, whatever. And also, you know, we're not alone here. We've got other people around us that can help us with our life purpose. So don't forget, you're not alone here. You're not an island, despite what this Western world has taught us, that we are individuals that are completely alone in achieving things. It doesn't work that way. As human beings, we need community. We need our friends. We need, you know, family, if that's working for you, you know, but we need people that are close to us to help us, to support us to achieve our goals, whether that's emotional support, financial support, simply someone to talk to about our goals, or someone that we literally work with in our band or in our business that we're partnering with, or whoever. So yes, we can do many, many things by ourselves. And I've been quite independent for a while, but I've learned the hard way that we must get over our ego issues around being tough and being strong and being so independent that we don't need the help of others, because it's simply not true. We do, all of us need the help of others. And if you truly want to be, you know, successful, whether it's financially or whether it's that you have an idealistic goal of reaching people with something that you want to do in this world, the more people that you have involved, sometimes the better. But you want to be selective with who you choose. These people need to be people that get you. They need to be people who understand and are in agreement with your life purpose. It needs to feel right on a heart and soul level when you work with other people. And understand that different people serve very different purposes in your soul mission. Some of them, like I said, are just meant to be someone that's there for you through the hard times that you talk to. And some of them might be there, like actually doing the work, the physical work with you. But it's important you use your heart and your intuition to choose, you know, those people, because not everybody out there has our best interests, and not everybody is in alignment with our soul purpose. You will usually feel a soul and heart resonance with somebody that we want to work with on that level.
Yeah, and exactly. Going back to what I was experiencing, two weeks of a bit of heartache. Nobody can help me with this physically, because it wasn't it was a physical issue of the artwork not looking right on certain devices. And what I created and what I worked hard for, half of my life, met my soul purpose, beauty, beauty, beauty. It wasn't working because something upstairs, the energy wasn't working with the technology here on Earth correctly. So I asked Janae, can you help me for this to work correctly? And I asked Source Creator, I manifest that these things with the technology be fixed. So my beautiful creations look beautiful again on certain technology. 2 weeks later, it's fixed and it's fine. Wasn't anything I needed to touch. Well, I actually did need to rework some things in what I created to serve me better. And I did that and it works beautifully. It's more integrative. It looks better overall, just better way of doing things. It helped me. Even though it looked like a disaster, it really helped me to improve something, what I created to make it better. But the upstairs folks, the soul teams, our guardian teams, ask the angels, ask Source Creator, God, Yeshua, ask your higher selves to help you to manifest things energetically so that they work better physically. That's part of soul purpose too, having the courage to ask for help from the beings that are up there upstairs, not just folks here on earth. Positive beings upstairs working to help us.
It's a bit of both, and it's a balance, and we need to learn trust. And that's something that I struggled with many times because I was betrayed by others and it damaged my sense of trust. But over time, what I realized is it's not really about me trusting others. What it's really about is trusting myself. If I can trust my own intuition about others, whether they're people that I'm working with in the world or they're higher dimensional beings, once I have a good connection with my intuition and I have an understanding of what is for my highest good, and I can really trust myself and listen to myself and my own intuition about whether this person is, whether I feel good with this person or whether I don't. Again, that's getting out of the head and more into the heart and the intuition. And that really, really helps because when you can get into that mode, then you cannot make a wrong decision, you know? And even if you do trust somebody and they betray you, it's not really a bad thing in the bigger picture either, because part of what we're learning here is the whole human dynamic situation. So aside from the life purpose that could have to do with what you're meant to do here in terms of your career, in terms of your expressing your talents here, there's also some aspects of life purpose that are a little less tangible. And I do feel that one of the biggest things that we're learning here in general as human beings is how to navigate this world as a human being, how to find happiness when there's so much pessimism and, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff and wars and different things going on in the world. How can we help others, shield ourselves from negative energies, and still be empathic with others, but also still be able to keep some energy for ourselves? You know, so it's a bit of a fine balance, and we need time to work on our goals, to work on our life purpose, but we also need time to rest and heal and just be comfortable here. And we need to have fun. We're supposed to have fun and feel good here. It's not just about this lofty life purpose of helping others or doing great deeds or expressing some brilliant talent or invention or something. That's important, but it's not the be all end all. As human beings, we really struggle to feel good. And that's because of trauma. It's because of challenges we've had in past lifetimes. It's because of negative experiences and memories and things like that. So we need to heal those things in order to work towards feeling good. And one of the key ways that you can feel good, if you feel that that is a part of your life purpose and that resonates with you, is just do more things that you enjoy doing. Do more things that make you feel good. And it's not that those things from the external world can actually bring us happiness, but when we do more things in the external world that help us align with the feeling of happiness, then it's easy to move towards feeling good. So in order to get a balance, we need to have time to work on our life purpose. We need to have time to have fun. We need to have time to be with our relationships, family, friends, and we need to be with our community. And we need to also have time for, you know, our spiritual aspects, if that's something that's important to us, our emotional aspects, our mental aspects, and our physical aspects. So, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot to try to balance, but it is important because, again, we don't want to get so serious and put pressure on ourselves about, oh my gosh, I've got to do this, I've got to fulfill my mission. You know, we need to also have fun here and learn to get over our baggage and heal so that we can enjoy this life, because there's a lot to enjoy here. Even though many of us, especially starseeds, we feel like this existence here on Earth is extremely tough for many of us, and many of us, you know, don't even want to be here because it's just like, ugh, it's so heavy, right? But there are lots of things to enjoy. You know, there's sensuality, there's food, there's friendship. You know, so focusing on the positive and finding gratitude for what you do have, taking the pressure off yourself and just doing your best are really key as well.
Yeah, and checking in with yourself so you don't feel stuck. Like asking yourself at the end of the day, am I feeling happy? Am I feeling confident? Am I feeling worthy? Am I accomplishing my soul desires? Am I achieving what I want as the soul to be happy? That's very important. And if you feel stuck, like if you feel like parts of your soul have gone elsewhere, you know, fragmentized, like bits and parts of the soul can leave energetically when you're not in alignment with soul mission, soul purpose, life purpose. You feel like something is missing, something has gone. That could be a sign of the soul being fragmented and soul piece leaving somewhere and existing somewhere else on a different dimensional energetic field. And with healing, you can put that back in the body. You can heal it and put it back. Same with past life stuff. Past life trauma, past life energies being stuck elsewhere, that can be healed, that can be retrieved. Nothing is ever gone or truly missing. If it's left, it can come back. It could be healed, it could be fixed, it could be redesigned, it could be fine-tuned. That's part of the soul mission and the soul purpose, to discover all these aspects of life and how to put them back together if something went away from the body or energetically went. Sometimes that's part of the human lesson. That's the soul learning lesson, to experience that, to see what went where and why, and how to bring it back. It's part of the experience. It's part of being human. It's not wrong or right, or it's not a mistake. It's experiencing the soul aspect of being you here on Earth, of playing with energy, of playing with physicality, fully engaging in the experiences to see what comes of it. And if something doesn't come of it, that's fine too. Nothing is wrong or right in the soul play that we do. It's life, it's energy.
It's all learning, right? And I think having the perspective that overall, as human beings, we're here to learn is a really beneficial perspective, because there are many things that we experience here in this level of existence that do cause suffering. And to just tell ourselves, okay, well, that was suffering, that sucked, it was like pointless, and I was victimized, is not super helpful. But if we can turn it around and say, well, yeah, you know, I was a victim in that situation, and yeah, it did cause me suffering and pain. However, I've learned from it. You know, I've learned about different aspects of human nature and what to avoid with people. I've learned how to be a stronger person and how to overcome adversity in my life. I've learned how to know whether I can trust certain people. And some people I can trust that are good for me, some people are not. And I'm moving more towards people that I feel comfortable with, that I feel trusting of, that are loving and supportive, and things of that nature. So I think that's an important, you know, there's the personal soul purpose, life purpose, but then there's also the broader soul purposes of human beings in general. And so if you feel like you keep getting distracted from your personal life purpose, don't feel too badly, because we're also working on these broader human purposes as well. Mm-hmm. And some of them that I've noticed are around, like I said, feeling good. That's a major human purpose. And I'm not just talking about pleasure. I'm talking about feeling good within your own skin and feeling comfortable and learning to enjoy this experience of life. And learning, of course, because learning is about expanding. So if we understand that in the big picture, human beings are here to evolve, right? We could be just this experiment, by higher dimensional beings, who knows? But we're here to learn and evolve. And if we have that perspective, then the challenging things that happen to us, we can kind of forgive them somewhat, or we can not see them as a personal failure, but instead see them as a learning opportunity. And the most successful people out there, the happiest people out there, view life that way. They don't view life in a pessimistic way. They view that they've experienced many different things, and the negative experiences, the hurtful experiences, they ask themselves, where's the opportunity here? What can I learn from this? How can I turn this situation around? How can I, make lemonade from these lemons? You know what I mean? Well, I like lemon with everything, so it's not the best analogy, but how can I turn this situation around to my advantage? And that way we can really grow and expand, but we don't want to dwell in our victimization. We want to get into empowerment. And another one is self-love and self-worth. It's a major part of our evolvement. Can you imagine what this world would be like if every human being took the time to develop their self-love and really learn how to love themselves and feel worthy? There would be no need to exploit others. There'd be no oppressive fear and need to control and exploit and gather resources and all of these things, because we would feel so comfortable within ourselves that we would just want to share the beautiful experience that we're having within, and others would want to share that love and that caring and that good feeling within. So I think that's something we're working towards as well. And we are getting there, it can feel a little overwhelming at times with all the things that we're trying to do here in the soul as a personal, person, and as a collective as well.
Yeah, and the ability to trust yourself, the ability to trust your intuition, and the ability to stop wearing masks, like we put on personalities, we put on faces to the world. Mm-hmm. The ability to just love ourselves the way we are and to stop wearing these personality masks and just be our genuine selves. You and I have worked on this for quite a bit. Mm-hmm. We're being our genuine selves. We're not being who people want us to be and expect us to be or act like. We're not putting those masks on, but we used to please other people, our families or friends. We don't do that anymore. We just wear ourselves, our true, genuine selves.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to please others. I mean, as babies, it's a survival tool to be lovable. So we all have that deeply within our programming and in our DNA, is to want others to love us, because it's pretty tough to survive. But we want to let go of that when we become adults to a certain degree. So we're always going to care what other people think, and that is okay, because we need love, and we need others, and we need community. But to a certain degree, we can let go of worrying about other people judging us. Like I was saying, I used to be self-conscious to put my staffs and my crystals on display in my Reiki room, because I was worried that my clients would think I was too woo-woo. But looking back at that, I mean, that was a while ago, but looking back at that, I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. I mean, if people are going to see you that way, they're going to see you that way, it doesn't really matter. I know I'm a grounded, sane, good person that has a lot to offer with my healing work. And I genuinely love crystals. I love, artsy, wacky stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. People are either going to love that about me, or they're going to think it's weird or whatever. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, because ultimately, by being more who we are, by being genuine to ourselves, like you said, by taking off those masks and being true to ourselves and expressing our interests, we're helping others, we're freeing up others, we're inspiring others to be more who they are. A lot of times people think they need to change to become someone else. Nobody needs to change. You don't need to change. There's nothing wrong with you, okay? Whoever needs to hear that. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to change. We evolve, yes, we improve, but think about it as becoming more of who you truly are, and taking away some of the brainwashing from the media, the conditioning from your parents that's not working from you, or whatever else, right? And letting go of all the negative thoughts that really are not serving your highest good, and getting more into thinking optimistically and aligning with that energetically, so that you can use your intuition and use help from others and divine guidance to guide you on your path. And a lot of times, it's the guidance comes in as your intuition opens up more.
Yeah, and I was just remembering how we met. You thought that I was so zany and wacky and not normal. And as you got to know me, you sort of became like me a little bit, zany and wacky and playful.
But the truth is, I've always been that way myself, right? I just never met anyone who was so into all of these fringe things. I mean, when we met, we were doing our Reiki training, right? So I was already on that side of the woo-woo camp, you could say. And I don't even know if I like that term, but whatever. It's a derogatory term, I guess, for people who are very spiritual and into metaphysical knowledge and things of that nature. But I mean, I found it liberating, because I was able to talk to somebody about topics that I was interested in. And this is what happens, when you meet someone who resonates more with your soul, you just become more who you are. You don't become someone else because of someone else's influence. You just either resonate with them more and more, or you don't. And that can happen as well, that souls can drift apart when there isn't as much resonance with the life purpose and with the interests and things like that. But, you'll know when you meet somebody who is on a similar path. And that's really helpful if you have similar goals with someone. If you have similar perspectives, you can bounce ideas off of each other and support each other on your life purpose too. And again, that's very important.
Yeah, I noticed whenever I come into people's lives, I come like a whirlwind, bringing change, bringing a different dose of reality to people's lives for a new perspective. And people are like, you're like a whirlwind. You just fly in. You're like a bull in a china shop. You just swoop in and things just change. You're like a reflection for people to see in the mirror. Something different, something fresh, something wacky, something flashy, flamboyant, zany. Those are all terms to describe me. I just fly in. It's like, okay, change is coming. You like it or not, we're going to tango. We're going to play. We're going to enjoy each other. It's just like, whether I resonate with a person or not, I do on some level. I just play with them. I play with people. I enjoy people.
Yeah, and that's very common for healer type people too, because we are a catalyst for people. And I've noticed this as well, in my romantic relationships and my friendships. I will either catalyze you towards your life purpose, or we'll kind of drift apart. That's usually kind of how it goes, because I'm so into personal development that I need to be around other people that are into that as well. Because if you're into personal development, you'll be developing and evolving quickly, and you'll be doing it a lot. And you'll be doing a lot of different things creatively and really learning and mixing things up in a short period of time over the years. But if you're around someone who's stagnating and they're not interested in personal development and they're not working on themselves, and you're like me and you're working on yourself, you may find that and I'm not talking about you, Ileana, I'm just talking to the audience in general here. You may find that you drift apart, and that's okay too, right? Because as we align more with our soul purpose, we will also let go of other souls that are not in alignment with that anymore, if they ever were. And then we will begin to align more with those other souls, those other people who are here for a similar mission, or who are here to help us on our journey.
Or to learn and grow with us.
Mm-hmm. So with that said, was there anything else you wanted to say, or do you feel like that pretty much covers it for today?
Yeah, I think we sparkled, I think we danced, and I think we enjoyed each other today. I think this has been fantastic. Thank you, Chloe.
You're welcome. Thank you, Ileana. You gave me some great ideas, and also just talking about this stuff, I find I get little epiphanies sometimes too. So it's really fun talking about it. I hope that for those of you out here that are watching, that it really helped to give you ideas, to give you clarity. And feel free to let us know if you have any questions. And if you'd like to reach me, you can connect with me at the link below at Airlea Healing.
And for me, messages from a star traveler, Mystic Arts and Healing, and Seeking the Truth in Reality at gmail.com. And yeah, we like to explore things. We like to go take a deep dive and see what's out there in the universe, and play.
So next time, we still have some more things to talk about the soul. Are we going to talk about soulmates and twin flames yet, or is there something else you want to talk about first?
Yep, soulmates, twin flames, and life partners.
Great. One of my favorite topics, something I've thought about many times, and I think it's a very human thing to think about too. So very excited to talk with you about that again soon. Thank you so much, Ileana.
Oh, thank you, and have a good day. Bye, Chloe.
Okay, bye.